few minutes ago, and we warned you that something powerful was going to happen today. I'm Bishop David Alston here in the great state of North Carolina, and I want to say thank you for tuning in to this broadcast. Tag someone, share with someone, let someone know that we're going live right now with some relevant information that will strengthen the body, not parts of the body, not a part of the body, but we are strengthening the body of Christ. And I want to welcome you and thank you for joining us on this beautiful day. This is the day that the Lord has made, and we will rejoice, and we're going to be glad in it. And I can't see you like you can see me, but I guarantee you, you guys are looking good this morning. If you're like me, and I hope I don't sound old, I hope I don't sound decrepit, I hope I don't sound like a senior citizen, because I'm nowhere near that. But I've been locked up in the house doing homework so long, working from home. They call it networking from home. I've been doing that so long, I don't know what day of the week it is. You know, I don't know what day of the week it is. Listen, my friend, it is Friday, April the 3rd, and we're here with you, and we want to talk something relevant. We don't want to just put a smile on your face that fades over time. We want to talk something relevant, give you some relevant information that will help you going forward. We're living in a difficult time, as I forestated in the earlier invitational video. We're not just struggling spiritually. We're not just struggling by way of not being able to see one another. We're not just struggling with social distancing. We are struggling economically. We're struggling with the fear of our economy crashing. And as you can see, or scrolling on the bottom of the screen, the battle is between God's economy versus the world's economy. And what I wanted to do for you today, this morning, during this time when most of you are at home, working from home, I wanted to, as you can see the picture here, this is what we're faced with. We're faced with a situation in which people are struggling. People are struggling. People are hurting. People are afraid of what is going to come next. Not only are people hurting in that aspect, but you can, it's a situation in which people are lined up. They're fighting over whether or not I need, I'm in the line trying to get essentials for my home. Do I have enough toilet paper? I was speaking to a friend in Texas and said they're out of toilet paper, they're out of paper towel, they're out of hand sanitizer. And watch this. This is where we need to really get on our hands and knees and seek God. They're out of guns and bullets because people are afraid. People are breaking into homes. They're coming to your homes pretending to be census takers. And when you open the door and they talk, they're scoping you to see what you have in the house. And then they're coming back, robbing your home and raping the women. We are living in what the Bible declares as perilous times. So what do we do during perilous times? I believe you call on the name of the Lord. I believe you pray and seek his face. And I also believe that what we need to do is arm ourselves, not with guns and weapons, for the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through God. But we arm ourselves with information. Information, my friend, one of the problems that I have, and I'm not going to monopolize the time because I have some wonderful guests on that I'm going to let take this conversation. One of the struggles or the problems that we have during times like this is that we get caught up on our emotionalism. We get caught up. I'm not, please don't take this wrong. I'm not knocking prayer. We've got to pray. We better pray. This is a praying time. But when you get up off your knees, arm yourself with information. The Bible says in Psalm 1 that there are blessed people, but whatever the blessed man doeth shall prosper. And we need information to know I prayed. I've asked God to intervene. I believe he's going to intervene, but now I need to know what do I need to do about this situation. And so today I wanted to bring in some friends to talk to us about from a Christian, from a godly perspective, but yet from a business perspective as well. And so I want to invite in my guests at this time. I want to welcome my dear friend and brother. He is the owner. I'll let him talk about the ministry, but I want to focus on he's the owner of New Dimensions Barbershop. He is the owner of New Dimensions Barbershop all the way down in Crystal River, Florida, my dear friend, Bishop Al Hopkins. Welcome, Bishop. You're going to be on. There you go, Bishop. Thank you for joining us.
Bless you, Bishop.
I also want to welcome in my dear friend and brother. He is the owner of Kiera's Place in Henderson, North Carolina, here in the middle part of the country, Bishop Jamil Bryant. And he is a pastor. He's a pastor bishop in Henderson of the Help Center, and yet he is a business owner as well. Welcome, Bishop. Thank you for joining us.
Bless you, Apostle.
Bless you, sir.
Now I want to welcome in those of you that saw him yesterday and thought he was just a bishop. He is a bishop in Cincinnati or Middleton, Ohio, but he is also the owner of Masterpiece Aviation, in which he deals with and sells and distributes airlines. He sells planes. And so we have welcome back, Bishop. Good to see you again on this morning.
Good morning. Good morning to one.
Wonderful, powerful men of God here with us today. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for taking time out of your very busy schedule. I know for a fact you all are busy, and we want to talk about. I was speaking with Bishop Hopkins earlier, and we were talking about the importance of this topic. And so, Bishop Hopkins, I want to release the floor to you to kind of lead us in this conversation. What do you see that's happening in the world, and what is the problem, and what's the issue, and what do we need to do? And I want you to open up this roundtable discussion this morning.
God bless you, Bishop. We appreciate you, and God bless you to my other friends on this call. We're living in definitely some perilous times. The things that we're being faced with from the onslaught of this virus that has affected our entire, not only country, but the entire world. We are living in a time of globalization, where a lot of the world economies are connected with one another. And what happens in China affects America. What happens in America affects the UK. What happens in the UK affects Australia. And all of these things are interrelated and they're interconnected. And one of the greatest areas that we're being affected is in our global economy. Due to this pandemic, we've had to shut down economies. We've had to stop people's ability from working and earning money. Many people have gotten furloughs. They've gotten pink slips. Some have been laid off. Some have been simply told to go home and literally not return or don't know when they will return. So this has caused not only, I would say, some personal stress, but this is also called economic. This has caused economic stress to so many different people. I've been in business for well over 23 years. I've owned several businesses, and even still to this day, I do. And one of the things I've learned is that you cannot live in a country and what's going on in the country not affect your everyday livelihood. And it's starting to do that as we see it today. And when you talk about the global economy and also the economy here in the United States, we're talking about millions of people having to go home and not know where the ends are going to be met. We're talking about unemployment. I live in the state of Florida. Unemployment cases are soaring like we have never seen them before. Even some of my very own workers, I've had to send them home, not realizing, knowing when they can return to work at any time. And so it seems to bring this battle into play, even as it did in Scripture, when there has been a constant tug of war between how people perceive the world economy and how we as believers perceive the economy of God. Through the years of me being in ministry and being in church, I've been in preaching the gospel now for well over 24 years, and we have taught, we preached about giving, we preached about tithes and offerings, we preached literally about having people put faith and trust in God. And if there's ever been a time where people have to put faith and trust in God, that time is now. When you really can't know whether or not, even after this $2 trillion stimulus package, just wrap your mind around that amount of money. $2 trillion from our government was literally packaged to be able to affect businesses, and not only people who have businesses, but also companies, as well as people who simply are going to get, I think, a $1,200 stimulus check. And many of us know who deal with the struggles of expenses on a day-to-day basis. $1,200 don't seem like much to go very far with what people are going to have to be faced with. So this is where we are right now. This is what we're being forced with. I believe one of the other things that came into play recently, President Trump was touting opening back up our economy around Easter, and there came a big argument, or if you would, I would say a rebuttal to him about whether or not people would be infected by going back to work and we starting things back up, so on and so forth. And the argument has even come up in Congress whether or not we should hurt our economy over this virus, and whether we should hurt the overall wealth and economy of America over this virus. So this subject is very dear to my heart, and it has been something that has been on my mind for some time. And I think we as spiritual leaders, and not only that, but business owners, I think what we're about to talk about will be relevant to the people that are listening.
Thank you, Bishop. Bishop Brian, how has this affected you, being the owner of a nonprofit organization? How's the economic hit of this situation that we're in affected you?
Well, I will put it this way: it is something um, we wasn't planning for. It wasn't something that we had planned for. We had planned. This was a year where we had planned so many different events. As a nonprofit organization, we so depend on people giving, people supporting us. Also, we're supporting other people. But what has happened with us as a nonprofit organization, I'll use three events. Of course, we had the Strawberry Festival, which is coming up. We have a lot of different festivals that we take a part of, that we sit out there and we get funding, people support, we get our name out there, with women's empowerment, all of these major um, festivals that we've been a part of for years have had to cancel. And so, therefore, the money that we have banked on to come in for these festivals, that we know that is sure money that comes in to get us through our yearly expenses, well, they no longer exist anymore. Because now we're not hearing it's being rescheduled. We're hearing it's just canceled because they can't reschedule a date, because they don't know a date to reschedule, because no one is giving an answer of when we're coming out of this. So instead of them saying reschedule, we have to just cancel. And so we're living in a time now in our organization where we had a dance competition that we had started months ago. Matter of fact, we started promoting this dance competition last November. Well, we had raised $5,500 in that setting to have our competition. Well, we had to turn around and give that money back. We had to give the option of either giving the money back or rescheduling it. But we have to give the people the opportunity to say they want the refund or we can keep it. Well,
Mhm.
come on. In this time, majority of people say what? I want my money
I
back.
want my money back.
If when you reschedule, we'll get on it. And so you're thinking about an organization, you've already delegated that money somewhere. And so now to have to go and repay that money back,
Mm-hmm.
Right.
and then you got to go into other absence, other streams of, different things to get the money. You're just it hurts. And so and people not understanding that when you are not a major nonprofit organization,
Hmm.
when you're not you're not 5-star organization, every little dime that you have to send out or every little dime that's taken from you,
Right.
it hurts. And so I've been faced now. I have a staff of 3 that I had to send them home, but yet I had to sit there and look at it. Okay, by me being a nonprofit organization and they're working for me, I didn't have it set up where they can go and file for unemployment. So I'm still having to pay them. I'm not paying them the whole amount, but I'm still paying them what they would get paid if they was on unemployment, because that's the God part of me. Because
Hmm.
I'm sitting there saying they didn't ask for this, they didn't ask to be out of work, and so it's just it's hitting on every aspect. And then you have, of course, you have the church, and then you think about that. You got to think about, you got landlords for the church, then you have landlords for the nonprofit organization. And my concern is, and I could be overstepping my words. My concern is, I understand everything is on hold, but what happens when we are cleared?
Right.
And they say now it's time to pay back rent. Do we have to pay back all this rent 3 months
Well,
that we've
right.
been out?
Well, I think Bishop, that's one of the misconceptions that a lot of people have, because you have here in North Carolina, you have utility companies that have said we're not going to cut off your power because we understand what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
The people are excited. Wait a minute, that $150 I was going to pay for my light bill, now I don't have to pay it because they're not going to cut it
Right.
off.
Right.
But once it's due, they're going to say, I want that. I want all of it. And then we're right back in the crunch. Now, Bishop Thompson, I'll get to you in a second, but Bishop Hopkins, while Bishop Brian was talking, it came to my mind about how you, like many others, like many others, I think I mentioned you guys earlier, this screen, it makes me feel like I'm part of Brady Bunch. You know, you want to just Bishop Hopkins, you
Yes,
are
sir.
in a business in which you are offering a community service.
Right. Right.
The barbershop business. And I'm telling you of all the barbers, I'm not saying this because he's on my screen. This man is the top of the line. This brother, my point, this brother knows what he's doing with some cut. I've never had a man cut like this man.
Yes,
But we have people that have barbershops, we have people that have hair salons, we have people, the mom and pop stores. Right now, do you really want to hear from me, man of God? God's going to see you through. God's going to reward just your livelihood. And Bishop Thompson's on another level because he's dealing with something. We'll talk about that in a minute.
Right.
But man, talk to us from what I think, and this is just me. I think we need practical conversations.
Right.
There's faith. I went through something in my life years ago with the sickness of a child, in which people were saying, "Man, God's going." I'm like, "Get out my face! I don't want to hear that right now."
Right.
And I think there are many Christians that are saying, many believers that are saying, "I don't want to hear nothing right now. How am I going to pay my bills?"
Right.
How do you deal with that on a level of and I hope this doesn't offend when I say mom and pop business, but you are a business owner.
Sure.
Talk to us about that. And then we'll talk to Bishop Thompson, who's dealing with economic on another level.
Right. Well, one of the things, Bishop, that this situation has brought to bear when we talk of barbershops, salons, nail technicians, businesses that are on this level throughout the communities, which most small businesses is deemed and qualified as being the engine of the American economy. This is when you go into communities and you see a lot of times in storefronts and so on and so forth. These are the businesses that are operating, that are paying local taxes, as well as county taxes, as well as taxes to the federal government. These businesses have been literally annihilated from this pandemic for the simple fact, over the years that I've been in business, these are businesses that crowd people. These are businesses where people come, they sit, they congregate, they talk. So these businesses have been directly affected by this pandemic. So when you say to people who have been earning money this way, generally their entire life, you cannot operate. You need to go home, and I don't know when we need to come back. You're talking about their weekly, if not biweekly, their monthly income literally be turned off like a faucet. It is gone. It is dissipated. It ain't coming back. What the government did to try to lessen the impact is they put about $350 million into the stimulus package to go directly to independent contractors and what they call quote unquote gig workers. Gig workers would be Uber drivers, freelancers, or so on and so forth. When you say that, what I've had to do is many of my people are having to go and file for unemployment. Therefore, much of the money that's in the stimulus package is into the unemployment benefits of your state. But the problem with that they're experiencing is that when they are going on the state websites to be able to apply, the website is jammed. They can't get in. Sometimes if they're not trying to get in early in the morning or late at night, they can't get in there. Period. One of the things that I have done to lessen the impact on my workers and so on and so forth. Over the years that I have been in business, I've always did what I would call a form of investing for different things of this nature that could possibly happen. And so what I've done is been able to facilitate and be able to give them actual money on hands to be able to support them through this crisis for a period of time, but it's only going to go but so far. And that's what I've done. For those who are throughout the nation that are experiencing this, one of the things that this is going to do, Bishop, is that this is going to make us have to rethink how we do business and
Amen.
how it's going to affect us going forward.
That's true.
Bishop Thompson.
Oh, well, again, thank you again. It's wonderful to be with you again, Apostle. And of course, grace and peace, blessings to the fellow Episcopates who are on with me today. And, you know, as, as, as Apostle shared, I have Masterpiece Aviation is an FAA certified aircraft dealer and
Amen.
Boeing supplier seller.
Amen.
So I sell everything as far as relates to aircraft, from helicopters, basic piston engine, business jets, and commercial airliners. And the way that this COVID-19 has affected even the airlines in a really big way.
Mhm.
And I know we've heard now and then, on the news about, Delta or United, putting planes off to the side. To tell you the truth, 95% of all the airlines globally have shut down operations entirely,
Wow.
including Emirates and Etihad.
Mm.
Two of the most luxurious airlines are down to about 15% of travel, and they've been using airliners actually to transport cargo. So they've been putting cargo in all the seats. So everyone, as far as the airlines and things, are trying every way that they can to make money. And even with as we see with the fuel, now, as it relates to the gas prices at the pump, it's the same thing for aviation. So prices for jet fuel has dropped dramatically too. So those who are in the jet fuel business are feeling the hit from that too, because there are a lot of brokers in the line and stuff when it relates to purchasing jet fuel and things. So where they was once getting $10,000 a month for their portion of their commission in a contract, the annual contract, that's been cut
Mm.
because the demand has dropped and the prices have dropped. So it's not just uh, you know so it's not just the up and out, but everybody is feeling the hit. But now that China has reopened and some of the other countries are now reopening, it is a huge demand for cargo to get out and around the world. So exactly what we're going to experience here is already started on the other side of the world, as
Yeah.
far as prices have spiked for cargo 4, 3, and 4 times the normal cost of moving cargo.
Well,
So
well, Bishop, and we've been on here quite a while, and so I want to do a roundtable real quickly in the time that we have left. We have a bishop that is dealing with international issues with flights, with planes. We have a bishop that is dealing with a nonprofit. And we have a bishop that's dealing with his business, his personal business in which he is supplying a service. My question to each one of you is, what do we say practically, not spiritually, not, the Lord, just fast and pray. What do you say practically to those that are watching, that are sitting here, um, that are sitting here watching today, who is like the brother that's sitting at his table saying, how am I going to pay my bills? I don't know whether I'm going to have an income coming in 30 days. What's going to happen to me? Because they're talking about this thing now may not peak and we may not get back on our feet until August or September. How in the world am I going to survive between now and August with no toilet paper, no paper towels, no bread, no eggs? I want to hear something from you gentlemen, practical, because you all have a different working perspective of the economy.
Mm-hmm.
One, you cut hair. One, you're helping young ladies, young women that are homeless. And one, you're trying to sell helicopters. And talk to me practically. One of my favorite, all three of you know me personally. I'm from Philadelphia. One of my favorite movies is Philadelphia with Denzel Washington and Tom Hanks. And in the movie, Denzel Washington has a line that I love. He says, explain it to me like I'm a 6-year-old. I want you guys, in the few minutes that we have left, talk to me like I'm a 6-year-old non-believer that is afraid that I'm not going to make it during these times.
I would say, I
If
don't
I
mean
was to start off with
jump
number
in.
one,
I would
if you're
truly
married,
say, my
it
grandmother and
is
I was
Wait a
talking.
critical.
minute, Bishop. Wait a minute. We both talking at the same
Oh,
time.
okay.
Bishop Brian, go ahead. You started, and then
Go ahead,
Tom.
Bishop.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry.
I
So
see what they go through on CNN now. Go ahead, Bishop.
okay.
Bishop Bryant.
Okay, me and my grandma was talking yesterday, and she said, we're going through two different stages. One stage, we're in the time where you can just go to the grocery store and pick up the chicken already done. Now what we have to do is we got to go back to learning how to kill the chicken, pluck the chicken, let the chicken run around the yard. So we got to go back to, we've got to sit down and go back to the basics of things, of realizing, okay, things was made real easy for us. So
Mm-hmm.
now we got to go back to what we were taught in the beginning,
Right.
how to survive. It's a
Right.
different thing now of just things being made for you easily. Now you got to go out there and you actually got to put some work in, and that's the part there that we've got to get our mind back into. We've got to actually get up and put the work back in. So now instead of just going and buying buying fishes out of Food Line at Walmart, now you
Right.
may just actually have to go and get that fishing rod and throw that rod and actually begin to fish again.
Right. Right.
Bishop Thompson.
I was going to say, well, first that was also Bishop Bryant. I was going to say, if you're married, it's critical that the husband and wife are unified and that they have a strong relationship, a strong love, and that they stay tight. And then that they incorporate the children, and that everything they can do must, be home centered, love centered, and doing everything they can to ensure that, in spite of the situation going on
Mm-hmm.
externally, that love
Mm-hmm.
is going to be the strong force to keep them together.
Mm-hmm.
Make sure that there's some laughter, some board games, and the methods will come to you. But center that thing on love, and then be willing to open yourself up and talk to others as you need to, because communication is key, especially when you're dealing with, because this thing can affect you mentally. What's going on outside can affect you mentally, and and different things, and it has its ways of trying to break up a marriage or break up a family. So I would implore you that, first and foremost, you love on one another like you've never loved before.
All right, Bishop Hopkins.
One of the things I want to bring out, Bishop, and both of my brothers here definitely added some wonderful nuggets of wisdom. It's important to me. I think one of the things we pray all the time in the Lord's Prayer, we say this when we pray, is give us this day our daily bread.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, we've been praying that, I think, now since we were children, and
Right.
even now we're still praying.
Uh-huh.
And never before would the concept of daily bread become so huge and big right now. I
Mm.
think one of the greatest things that we're going to have to do, I would say, is number one, every day, every moment you can, stay on your knees and talk to the Father about your needs, about your daily needs. Stop worrying about Monday to next week, next month, next year. Sometimes people can't see that far. But I believe without a shadow of a doubt that God has the power and the ability to supply our daily needs.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I want to also bring into line is stewardship. We got to become better stewards. We have lived so long in excess, and we've lived so long with so much. And there are those out there that have to be so frugal to the point that they have to manage the less in order to even be able to eat daily. So,
Mm-hmm.
how you manage your resources, how you manage your money, as you go into the grocery store, it may take you putting down that thing that you desire for that thing that you need.
Mm-hmm.
Feeding your household, feeding your children, making sure everybody is healthy, reaching out to your loved ones, seeing how everybody is faring, because at the end of the day, everybody has not been blessed with the ability to have the type of work or job, but whereby they're still able to earn money through this season that we're going through.
Mm-hmm.
And last but not least, one of the greatest things that I think that we're going to have to do is that we're going to have to wrap our faith completely and totally into God through this season. I believe without a shadow of a doubt, out of all the major transitions that I have been through in my life, and I've been through some, God has literally formed a bridge for me through every last one of them, and I've came out of them on the other side. I'm reminded when the prophet Elijah walked into Zarephath, there was a widow woman there at the gate of the city collecting sticks, and she was in a famine herself. And
Mm-hmm.
she was getting ready to make the last little bit of milk cake she had for her and her son, and she was going to eat it and die. And here comes this prophet in the midst of all of that.
Yes,
And he
yes.
speaks to a word to her and tells her to go and make a cake for him first. He's literally asking her to give in the middle of a famine.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, without a shadow of a doubt, we may not have resources to give, we may not have money to give at this time, but there is something that you have within your possession, whether it's your time, your love, your affection, whether it's your wisdom. You can give something away to somebody that is in need.
Right.
That may be the very funnel that God may supply you with the things that you need during this time.
Yes, sir.
Right.
Can I say
Don't shut your
something?
back
Go ahead.
compassion. Right.
What do you say to a organization like mine where your sole resource goes out?
Mhm.
We have 3 houses, and they are filled. And so now what happens is all the weight and all the burden becomes on you. They're no longer able to, because the business, are we dealing with women that have been through domestic violence, drug charges. So the jobs they have were restaurants. They're shut down. They have no money coming in, and everything is solely on you. What do you say to a person in not shutting the door? Because you can't shut the doors, because if you shut the doors, it's just like kicking them out on the street. What would you say to a
Well,
person in a situation like that?
well, I'll let one of the other bishops answer, but if I can sort of look back to look ahead, um, I was on the phone the other day with someone, and during the call, a very popular, famous bishop called in and was talking, and the bishop was saying that he had just gotten information from the government that because his church is such a mega church that the government is going to take over and pay the salaries of the nonprofit up to so many thousands of dollars. And yet, when you think about that on that level, there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of forms to be filled out. They want to go through your records like a fine tooth comb. My point is, on a grander scale, there is support and help. On the lower scale of a nonprofit, it's almost impossible. The thing is, what Bishop Hopkins said earlier, that everything will be changed or refocused after this. We must, and this might not answer your question, maybe one other bishop can answer your question, but after this, We need to refocus. I'll give you an instance. As preachers, we tell people you need to be prepared for the storm in the time of sunshine, and you need to be ready. You got to put your bucket out and be ready, because y'all ain't talking. Y'all don't hear me. There's a storm out on the ocean and it's moving, and we say that. We tell people prepare for it. The question is, were we practicing what we've been preaching?
Right,
Were we
right.
preparing for this? No, because this is something that we haven't experienced before. And so now we're faced with something, and what your question is a practical question. What do I do about these people now? Bishop?
Oof. Mr. Hopkins, I will let you start that one.
One of the things that I think would help is one of the greatest resources we have in America versus a lot of the other countries in the world is we have a huge resource of people who not only have the means but also have the sustenance to sustain others in times like this. One of the things that I would do if I was in your shoes is I would do my best to start a some type of a campaign whereby I can reach out to people that are greater means than just my community. One of the greatest things we have at our disposal is social media. If you put your message out there in your story, you would be surprised of the people that have the means and are willing, and that God will supply to sustain you. Even as I was just going into it, God used a raven to sustain Elijah during the famine. Then he turned around and used a widow woman to sustain him. Then he turned around and used the prophet to sustain the widow woman. God always has a resource of people that will be able to sustain you through times like this. And I believe without a shadow of a doubt, my brother, that because God purposed your nonprofit to be organized and that it will be affecting your community at a time like this, that God is going to supply you with the sustenance that you need to get through this season. Use social media, use GoFundMe pages, use whatever you got to do to ensure that the doors of those businesses stay open.
Amen.
Right.
All
And
right.
I would as well encourage you, Bishop, to sometimes you don't have to reinvent the wheel, but
Right.
even though I know that a lot of the other nonprofit organizations and things are as well giving out as much as they can, continue to partner, continue to reach out and partner with them and others, even if you're willing to venture not just outside your city, go outside possibly even your state, to make some additional connections and be willing to continue to, because you never know, the day might come in which they're going to need to draw upon your well
Mhm.
and things. So I just encourage you to don't give up, don't shut the doors, because there are people who do have the resources and the finances and looking for ways to help other people. So just continue to reach out, even check with your city government, some of the city
Yes.
governments as well. They have some things in which they can help you as well.
Amen.
Gentlemen, I thank you so much for your time. Someone commented in the comment section that this is real talk, and I appreciate that. That's what we need. We need practical. Every one of you on here, I have heard each one of you minister. And Lord, as the old folks say, Lord knows you are some freaking jokers. But we had to stop and just be practical, because what people are going through now in a fiery sermons. Not, we need some practical talk. How do I make it? Because I'm afraid. You'd be surprised how many people are watching this broadcast that are thinking, I don't know how I'm going. When is this going to run out? When am I not going to be? That's why people are going to the store buying everything. Two reasons. Some are buying it because they're afraid that it's not going to be any, and some are buying because they're saying, I don't want to keep going out and running the risk of getting sick
Right.
and stay home. So
Mhm.
we have to come together sometime, and we have to take the clergy collars off and just give some real talk to people to help them. And so,
Even, even those bishops and those other pastors who are afraid themselves,
Mm-hmm.
who don't have anybody to talk to, or even have a multitude of counsel that they're comfortable with, who will talk on this level and be able to
Mm-hmm.
just say, listen, how are you doing?
Right.
Let's take all, like you said, take the collars off and say, listen, how are you doing?
Right.
What's going on here? Because this is a serious situation and a very serious time. And pastors like Bishop Hopkins and Bishop Bryant and yourself, this is very serious because we have the concern of the sheep as
Right.
well.
Right.
Because not just, I mean, we seen last week all the different leaders, pastors, and bishops who passed away from being, infected. So we share that same concern about the sheep
Yes. Yes.
and one another.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Our time, we've gone way over our time. I didn't mean to keep it that long, but want to say thank you
Thank you.
again for joining us. Thanks, Bishop Thompson. We'll holler at you soon.
Yes,
Bless
sir.
you, brothers.
All right.
Enjoyed it.
Thank you, Bishop
Yep.
Brian. Thank you, my brother.
Bless
We'll
you,
see you
sir.
soon. And Bishop Hopkins, thank you, my brother. And we'll talk to you soon. To everyone, have a wonderful day. We'll be back with you real soon. Monday, we'll bring in Bishop Abram Dixon. On Tuesday, Bishop Noel Jones, and we're going to talk some more practical things. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of the day, a wonderful weekend. And remember that God's watching over you, and we're going to make it because we're going to make it together. God bless you. Have a wonderful day.